Since 1998, Stamps.com has been an indispensable tool for nearly 1 million businesses. Stamps.com brings the services of the U.S. Postal Service and UPS shipping right to your computer. Whether you're an office sending invoices, a side hustle Etsy shop, or a full-blown warehouse shipping out orders, Stamps.com will make your life easier. All you need is a computer and a standard printer. No special supplies or equipment. Within minutes, you're up and running, printing official postage for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. And you'll get exclusive discounts on postage and shipping from USPS and UPS. Once your mail is ready, just schedule a pickup or drop it off. No traffic, no lines. Cut the confusion out of shipping with Stamps.com's new Rate Advisor tool. You can compare shipping rates and timelines to easily find the best option. Save time and money with Stamps.com. There's no risk, and with our promo code POD, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in POD. That's Stamps.com, promo code POD. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
Have either of you experienced any blackouts? Stretches of time that you can't account for?
This one, it's a scream, baby. Do not open this door. What's the matter with you people? I was joking. Don't you know it's a joke when you hear one?
Stardate 10/05/2021. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Captain's Log. This is your captain, Jose Valle Jr., coming at you from sunny California, joined virtually from windy Iowa by my co-host...
Delete that.
First Officer Mason Schrader. You guys couldn't see it, but Mason was putting on a sweatshirt as I was doing that intro, and he made a very funny face. Mason, we're back.
We're back.
We're back. How are you? How was the break?
Oh, hey, man, listen, I'm just marching soul-crushingly into the void. You know what I mean?
Just as good as always, huh?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Awesome. Any
The weather's changing, so it's getting colder, and I'm enjoying that quite a bit.
I went from Utah, where it would be just like the perfect time right now, my favorite time of the year. And apparently, I didn't know this, but there's no seasons in LA. So that's fun. It's Halloween. It's Halloweeny season, but outside just looks like summer. So there's no leaves falling on the beaches. Oh, boo!
There's that crispness in the air that still gives me a little bit of anxiety because it makes me think school's about to start. But I don't have school anymore. But I still get out and I get to breathe deep, and I'm like, shit. And okay, my chest hurts because I think I got to go to school, but I don't.
How I envy you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm 22. With a bunch of 18-year-olds in class. And it fucking sucks. I forgot how much I hated college. I'm not happy to be back.
Well, as that 22-year-old...
I'm going to have to take that ball from him when he gets over here.
Your dog is amazing at finding the most annoying things to do while recording an episode.
He's on one today. You got to give me the ball. I'm just going to take it from him.
Yeah, take that ball from him. I'll vamp the crowd. I'm so glad to be back, everybody. I didn't have anything else. I'm so glad he's here again.
He missed that I wasn't recording for... Get the fuck... He's trying to climb on the desk. Get out of here. He missed that I didn't have to record, and now he's like, well, I want to fuck it up. I want to be a part of it. So, Mason, we are starting off this very special month of Spooktober with another Warren case file.
Yay.
This time... we are taking a look at one of America's most famous hauntings, the Amityville Horror. Are you familiar at all with this case, Mason? You ever heard of it? Seen the movies?
Yeah. I saw the movies. I've heard of the murder. I've heard of the ghosts. I'm with it, as the kids would say.
Yes, they're all saying that. I can attest because I'm a hip college student again, and they're all saying that.
You are. It seriously does crack me up that you are where I was when you met me.
Yeah,
that you're having that exact same thing. It cracks me up so much. It makes me laugh so much.
There hasn't been a cool kid that approached me to be my friend yet, like I did to you. So,
well, doesn't it give you a complex though when you're like, wait, are they lame or am I lame?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's tough.
It is.
But also
because
because you're like, no, I'm not fucking lame. I'm super fucking cool.
Yeah.
They've got to be lame, but I don't know why none of these fucking kids want to be my friend.
I'm not gonna mention it by name, but at the school that I'm at, I know I'm the cool one. I know they're the lame ones. I know it.
Yeah.
I watched both of the movies in preparation for this. Ryan Reynolds' abs just don't quit, do they? He's just so hunky in that remake.
He's hunky in everything.
He is, but like, he's just supposed to be playing a guy in the 70s, and he's just fucking shredded. And
He's
I'm like,
still Ryan
whoa.
Reynolds. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird choice.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we will be. That was.
Sorry, I just had to think about his abs for a bit.
Wow. They're my comfort. Anyway.
Yeah.
We will be exploring the very real tragedy of the DeFeo family murders, the haunting of the Lutz family afterwards, and the involvement and investigation of Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, of course, and this will probably be one of the last times I ever do this. If you're listening to the show, just be prepared. It's always a trigger warning for this show. We're going to be discussing things in detail, especially moving forward. We're definitely going to be getting into more of the gruesome details of cases. So just be aware of it. And if that's not your vibe,
skip that part.
Skip that part. I'll have time codes, though, of course. But first, we're going to be taking a look at the murders. And, are you ready to start, Mason?
Let's dive in.
All right. On the banks of the Amityville River in Long Island, New York, sits a Dutch colonial house with quarter-moon windows that seem to stare down at anyone who passes by. The address used to read 112 Ocean Avenue, accompanied by a sign that designated the home as High Hopes. This High Hopes were living.
Wait, what? No,
I was doing
Ocean Avenue.
Oh, hey, you know what?
Take me down to Ocean Avenue.
We got it in the end.
I don't know. Is that Yellow Card? I don't remember. It was a pop punk banger.
Yeah.
It was all right.
This is the site where a series of events transpired that would come to be known as the Amityville Horror.
How fortunate would you call these events? This series of events.
This is a real unfortunate series of events. Let me say that.
Yeah. You said it.
The Amityville Horror is used to refer to the disputed experience supposedly suffered by the Lutz family, but the case doesn't begin with them. Do you like how I'm trying here not to completely go one way or the other in how I explain it? The supposedly disputed story of the Lutz, yeah.
Well, wait, is it disputed or is it supposedly disputed?
It's the disputed experience that was supposedly experienced by the Lutz family. Yeah.
Supposedly disputed as if maybe it wasn't disputed.
Yeah. No one actually disputes this case.
The event isn't disputed, but whether it's disputed or not
is disputed, yeah.
That's disputed.
But the case doesn't begin with them. It actually starts 13 months earlier with Ronald DeFeo Jr. and the very real murder of his family. On November 13th at 6:30 p.m., Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. ran into Henry's bar. You know you're going to be a bad guy if your nickname is Butch. You know what I mean?
There's never been in the history of anything been a Butch that everybody was like, thank God Butch is here.
On November 13th at 6:30 p.m., Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. ran into Henry's bar, screaming to the patrons that his family had been shot. A group of his friends who had been there drinking with him earlier left with DeFeo to investigate. When they arrived...
That's who if ever I'm murdered or a family of mine is murdered, please go get the last 5 people that I drank with to come investigate it. Because they're the people who are going to solve that case. And crack it wide
also,
open.
yeah, if I'm ever murdered and you stumble upon my body, please run to a bar instead of the authorities and get as many drunk people as you can to come.
Honestly,
I think he was shot.
I
think they shot him.
I am dying for the time that I'm in a bar and someone busts in and is like, help, my family's been shot. I need someone to investigate it. I'll be like, this is Madame Shot. Everybody looks like
fix your little beanie and you're like, you came to the right place.
I think you can tell by the cum in the blood that this was definitely a sexual murder.
And they're just fucking weeping in the corner.
Oh. Milk, you say? I guess my taste test was off.
So, when they arrived at the house, they discovered all 6 members of the family were dead.
Oh shit, Ronnie, you were right that you shot.
One of the guys still has a beer with him, and he's like looking at the beer, and he's like, just fucking downs it.
I knew one guy that thought this was a prank and is like in the refrigerator. And just like, wait, they actually got oh shit!
Oh shit! He's eating the Doritos. He's like, I should probably stop, right? But he just keeps eating them because that would be me, especially when I'm drunk. I always munch when I'm drunk and I'm nervous. I'm walking around the crime scene, leaving Dorito dust everywhere because I'm like, oh fuck, oh man, oh no, they're so dead.
Oh, this is so bad. Also, I've had this is like 600 calories.
Oh, my tummy hurts. So Joseph Yeswit was the one who called the police. He was a friend of Butch's. When police arrived, they found a truly grisly scene. Although, before I go further, I did read the 911 call between Joseph and the operator. It's fucking hilarious. Because he's calling them and he's like, hey, this is Joseph Yeswit. And they're like, George Harrison? And he's like, Joseph Yeswit. And they're asking him to spell his name. They're asking him the address. He's like,
me, George Harrison from the Beatles.
Well, and
there's been a murder at my best friend Butch DeFeo's house. Please, you gotta send help. That's one of my favorite accents.
Yeah, that's so very good. I love a good Beatles accent. And he's telling them like, they're like, well, what's the address? He's like, I don't fucking know the address. There's dead people here. And they're like, let me put you on with a cop. And then the cop is just running the same thing by him. And he's like, what's your name? How do you spell that? What's the address? And he's like, dude, people are fucking dead. Get here.
You said your name was...
George Harrison of the Beatles?
Joel? Did you say Joel?
Did you say your name was Billy Joel?
No, Joseph?
Like
Yeswit. Joseph. Just say, what's your name?
Okay. My name, I'm Paul McCartney.
Paul, what are you doing as a cop?
Hey.
Quick, get over to my position. There's been a murder.
So, I'm glad we're getting the laughs out of the way because what comes next is yeesh.
Oh, it's only going to get more fun, I bet.
When police arrived, they found a truly grisly scene. All of the DeFeo family members laid face down in their beds, shot to death. Deputy Chief Hey, I've been shot to death, if you know what I mean. A couple of shots. You take 7, once you get past 7, and you're like, oh, fuck. I was shot to death a couple weekends ago, if you know what I'm talking about.
This is a bit of a stretch. The way you're using shot to death is a bit of a stretch, buddy. I'm gonna be honest. It's not great.
Deputy...
Have someone ever referred to taking a shot and been like, oh, I've been shot to death. Has that ever happened?
Just did. Deputy Chief Medical Examiner Howard Adelman would determine that the DeFeo family members had bled to death in their beds. The murder weapon...
Where did he go to fucking doctor school at? Obvious University? What a fucking... No shit. Was this me? That's my detective skills. I'm like, well, you can tell by the blood that they bled to death.
What?
Fucking congrats. Absolutely. Well done. Thank you. 6 years of medical school. 8 years of medical school. They bled to death. So you can tell it by the way it looks.
These people were shot, and you can tell that by the way that they've been shot.
In my professional medical opinion, Gross. This is yucky. Ew.
Ew. The murder weapon was discovered to be a .35 caliber Marlin rifle. You're our resident gun expert, Mason. Do you know anything about this particular firearm?
35 is, I don't know. It's pretty big.
I looked it up. It's pretty big. I didn't know if maybe you could. I don't know anything about guns, so I just looked at it and I went.
Is it named after the fish?
Yeah.
Marlin, or is that just because is it as big as that fucking fish?
It's named after the fish Marlin from Finding Nemo, the dad.
No, I meant like the actual, the species of fish named Marlin.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe, could be.
I know 35 caliber is very large and it's very loud.
Well, I was going to ask about that, about the size of the ammunition and you said it's very loud?
It's very loud.
Okay.
Because it's big.
That'll play in. It was determined that the parents were each shot twice and the children each shot once. Ronald DeFeo Sr., age 43, was shot twice in the lower back. One bullet exploded into his kidney and exited out his right nipple onto the bed. The other entered the base of the spine and was lodged in his neck. It was later estimated that he could have been alive a few seconds to several minutes after being shot. The waistband of his shorts was pulled down a bit, indicating that he had moved up on the bed as he died. Louise DeFeo, age 43, was also shot twice. The bullets entered her right flank and chest. One exited out of her and onto the bed. The other came out of the middle of her chest and re-entered through her left breast and wrist. The bullets shattered her ribcage, splintered bone, and destroyed most of her right lung, diaphragm, and liver. Although she was found face down, her chest was slightly raised from the bed, and her body was turned to the right. The medical examiner explained that she could have been alive for nearly 10 minutes after being shot. Thus, her position indicated that she would have woken up, lifted herself, and turned towards the doorway in the direction of the killer. So it's very possible that she saw the person that shot them. Mark, age 12, and John, age 9, were both shot once in the back at close range. The medical examiner determined that the killer stood between the beds less than 2 feet away. The bullets penetrated the liver, diaphragm, lungs, and heart of both boys. The bullets went through the boys' mattresses and into the box springs. John's spinal cord was severed, which may have led to involuntary twitching of the lower body. Allison, age 13, was shot once in the face from less than 2 feet away. She may have turned around and seen the muzzle of the gun. The bullet entered her left cheek and moved through her right ear. It tore into her brain and damaged her skull. The bullet ripped out of the mattress, hit the back wall, and ricocheted onto the floor. And finally, Dawn, age 18, was shot once in the back of the neck from 2.5 feet away. The bullet entered just below her left ear and blasted through her left temple onto the pillow. The left side of her face collapsed, and brain particles mixed with blood and saturated her pillow.
Well, it's certainly that same interesting thing of the X, where it's like the ability for someone to kill all these people in their beds before, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
And we'll get into some of the theories and stuff.
I'd like to take back I said impressive.
No, I know what you mean.
I'd like to take that word back and say it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Let's go with terrifying, not impressive.
Yeah. The police report determined that there had been no suppressor used on the rifle and that the family had been drugged. However, the official autopsy told a different story.
We did extensive toxicology, not only on the blood and urine, but on all of the organs that were removed, and it turned up 0. That there wasn't anything in their body.
That was Dr. Adelman who explained that.
And don't forget, they bled to death.
Yes, the same guy. Neighbors did not report hearing any gunshots being fired, and those who were awake at the time of the murders simply heard the family's sheepdog, Shaggy, barking. Lightning. Wow.
Oh, I was just going to say, Do you think they accused the dog of killing them?
Yeah.
Because
He was
you know what the dog would have said, right?
What?
Wasn't me.
Zoinks!
No, goddamn it, no.
Oh,
what?
it wasn't me. The other
wasn't me.
Shaggy. Yeah. Oh, damn it! I fucked that one up.
He played a concert at the Des Moines, Iowa Adventureland. Just the water park.
Really?
That's where Shaggy's at in his career. This year he did that.
Fascinating. It wasn't me. That's my Shaggy.
That was just Shaggy? He sounds like a fucking Muppet.
Yeah, have you ever fucking heard Shaggy?
He's Jamaican, not a fucking Muppet.
Yeah, but he sounds
actually.
like...
Did you know he doesn't actually speak?
No,
he doesn't. He's just like normal voice.
Yeah, he just talks normal.
Like,
but then when he's
Baby,
that you call me red-handed. You know, that's
not what
it sounds like.
You call me red-handed. I mean, it's not. Is it? Is it sweaty? Is that a sweaty?
That wasn't me. That's what he sounds like.
What are you doing? Is it sweaty for me to do this impression, or is it okay because he also doesn't talk like that?
Well,
you know what I mean.
I don't know. So
it wasn't me.
Butch would go on to tell police that he had stayed home from work the previous day with an upset stomach, that he had stayed up until 2 a.m. watching the movie Castle Keep starring Burt Lancaster. He made a point of saying that. I
was watching Castle Keep with Burt Lancaster.
Oh, okay.
Ask me anything about it.
Who was in it?
Burt Lancaster.
What's it about?
It's about keeping a castle.
So, he said that he had fallen asleep in the TV room and was awoken at 4 a.m. by the pains in his stomach, and that at first he saw his brother Mark's wheelchair outside the bathroom. His brother had broken a leg playing football. He said he saw the bathroom...
Crutches.
Huh?
Use crutches.
Nah, this kid
you
wanted
a wheelchair
to
for a
fully
broken
ride.
leg?
Oh, I guess he's dead. He said... He said he was well rested from the day before, so he decided to go to work earlier than usual. He ate at a luncheonette, went to work, left early, and saw his girlfriend and some friends.
I'm sorry, wait, what time did he leave the house?
So I think he left at like 5:30 or 6 a.m.
I'm sorry, he stayed up till 2 a.m. watching Castle Keep starring Burt Lancaster. Yeah. He then fell asleep at 2 a.m., woke up at 4 a.m. because he had the tummy, which I know that tummy ache that wakes you up where you have to go take a shit like really badly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you just like blurt out the worst shit of your entire life.
Yeah.
This checks out now. Where you do that, you wake up, you do that, and you're just like, oh, all right, I'll do whatever now. I can do whatever I want now.
That's pretty much what he said happened.
Yeah, okay,
so,
fair enough.
At first, Butch claimed the murders were committed by a man named Louis Fellini, who Butch said was a mafia hitman, who had lived with his family and had a falling out with Butch and had threatened his life. As police continued to search the home, they discovered the .35 caliber Marlin rifle. It wasn't among the numerous firearms they discovered in Butch's room, but in a separate box with a .22 caliber rifle. It was at this time that authorities discovered that Butch was a gun buff and had been trying to buy a silencer in the weeks leading up to the killings. The investigation turned to Butch, who continued to insist that they needed to find Fellini. But once they asked him if he had eaten dinner with his family the night of the murders, his demeanor changed, and they discovered he was not the grieving son and brother one might expect. When asked why he hadn't eaten with his family, he said that it was because his mother Louise was a lousy cook, and that she made some brown shit in a bowl for dinner that he wasn't going to eat. When asked about his family, he had nothing nice to say. He described his brothers Mark and John as fucking pigs. He said that he shared a bathroom with them and they left in a mess, usually with toilet paper hanging out of the toilet and shit on the back of the seat. When asked about Dawn, he described her as a fat fuck who played her music too loud. He said that when he yelled at her to turn it down, his father would intervene and hit him. He had nothing to say about Allison. It's just funny because I just picture it like he's like, oh man, my family's dead. Oh my God.
Hey, Ronnie, Butch, it's gonna be okay, all right?
Yeah.
We just gotta ask you. We
understand.
God. You're grieving. We just gotta ask you a few more questions.
Fellini, he did this. Oh,
you played Fellini. I'm writing down a note. So just so the day of the murders, did you Did you hang out with your family at all?
Here's the thing about my family.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you eat dinner with them?
We live in a society, and my family, they had it coming.
His family had it coming. Wait, I'm sorry.
Joaquin Phoenix was a fantastic Joker.
Fantastic Joker. Now, when will we learn who Joaquin Phoenix is?
Oh, just
Is he
wait.
like Burt Lancaster?
Oh, he's better. Anyway, yeah, I killed my family.
Killed his family.
And that's basically
that's another one in the books for Officer Schrader, the most
wonder who did it.
Convincing, the most convincing
it's just,
interrogation officer
like,
we have.
Damn it, Schrader, you broke me down. Fine, I admit it. I did it. And I would have gotten away with it too if you hadn't asked me any questions.
What did you guys have for dinner that night? What was the bowl of shit? What does it even look like a shit? What is a bowl? What was it? Oatmeal? That's all I can guess.
Couldn't tell you.
Hash browns? It's got to be some form of potato,
Beans,
correct?
maybe. Chili.
All I know is it looked like shit.
Yeah. No, but really though, like they asked him, he's playing it up this whole like mafia hitman thing, and then they ask him about whether or not he ate with his family, and he immediately just turns on him and is just shit talking all of them. And then the police, they tell him that they found the ammo and weapon, and they also tell him the fact that it's been determined that his family was killed between 3 and 4 a.m., which he would have been in the house at the time. Butch put his head in his hands, and he told police to give him a minute. He then proceeded to confess to having murdered his entire family. So literally, it didn't take much to break this guy down. All they did was, oh, hey, we found the weapon, and we know that your family died around 3 to 4 a.m. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I killed him.
Oh.
Shot him in the fucking face.
Whoa, do you want to maybe wait until your lawyers... Because are you just confessing to the crime?
Killed
you don't
them.
want to...
Shot him, right? Killed him.
That's it? Okay, cool, yeah. We're just going to throw you in jail for the rest of your life. During his trial, DeFeo mounted an insanity plea. He confessed before the jury that he had heard voices in the weeks leading up to the killings. He said the voices told him his family was plotting against him. He claimed he had been possessed, and that once he started, he couldn't stop. He also said,
"Oh, Your Honor, I know I said I killed my family, but counterpoint, I'm fucking crazy."
The judge is like,
"Wackadoo. You ever seen Looney Tunes?
Yeah.
You know when they hit themselves with the hammer and their teeth become like piano keys?
Yeah.
Hit me in the head with a hammer. See what my teeth do."
Dunk.
Boom. Sounded pretty cartoony, didn't it? Yeah, God, I think I'm going to go ahead and pronounce this case closed.
Just once, I wish that a killer would just do that. Just be like, I'm fucking Looney Tunes. Straight up. I guess the closest has been Manson, because he was just like, ah.
Yeah. Ah. Your Honor, my client pleads animani, absolute insanity. Animaniac, Your Honor, is the plea.
He also said that a demonic female figure with black hands wearing a black hood handed him the murder weapon. At one point, he was shown a picture of his mother and answered that he didn't recognize the face. Psychiatrist Daniel
I don't know
Schwartz,
who that is, but she looks like a shit-ass cook. I'll tell you that much.
Psychiatrist Daniel Schwartz supported the insanity plea, but Dr. Harold Zolan countered on behalf of the prosecution. Dr. Zolan said that
although DeFeo was a user of heroin and LSD, he had an antisocial personality disorder and was aware of his actions at the time of the crime.
When he first confessed to the murders, he admitted to getting rid of the evidence. He also made sure to call home in front of people he knew and complained to everybody he saw that day that his family was not answering the phone and that he didn't have keys to get into the house. His behavior shows some organization and planning. He was cognizant of what he'd done.
Gawk, would you fucking believe it? My family won't answer the goddamn phone.
Oh, no.
And
Ronnie.
you know I'd go over... Shut up, I'm talking. And I'd go over there myself and check on them, but I can't because I don't have keys to the house. I've been calling them all day long, and I have not been home. And even if I had been, I couldn't get in because I don't have keys to the house.
Okay, Ron, that's fine. I mean, do you want us to go over there and check with you? What's...
No, don't do that because they're probably dead. I mean, I don't know because I don't know where they are because they haven't been answering the phone, and I can't get in because I don't have keys.
Okay.
So don't ask me.
Okay, I won't.
Don't ask me.
I'm not.
Ask me.
What? What do you want me to ask?
Ask me.
Why aren't they... Can you go check on them?
I'm crazy.
Oh, no.
Absolute fucking wackadoodle. I ever tell you my mom's a shitty cook? Not that I know, because she won't answer her phone today. So,
DeFeo...
I'm glad we're friends.
DeFeo was found guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder in November of 1975. He was sentenced to 6 sentences of 25 years to life. This is where George and Kathy
Your Honor,
Lutz
how long is that? How long is 25 years times 6? Is that 10? Is that 10 years?
No, it's 25.
Because I'm crazy and I can't do math. Do I get the life sentences? Do I get them? I don't get them until you hit the hammer on the wood, right?
Right.
So there's still a chance that I could convince you that I'm crazy. I'm crazy. I didn't hear that. So didn't count. Didn't fucking count. Ronnie DeFeo. He's winning again, baby. Woo! Nothing but roses for Ronnie Butch Jr. DeFeo. That's what I did to my family.
Oh, no.
Did I tell you I'm crazy?
This is where George and Kathy Lutz enter our story. During the summer of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz visited the property at 112 Ocean Avenue, a beautiful 3-story Dutch colonial home set on the Amityville riverside. This is what George said.
We looked at about 50 homes over the months that we decided to combine the households. When she, the realtor, showed it to us, she said, I don't know if I should tell you this now or after you've seen the house, but this was the house that the DeFeo murders took place in. We kind of looked at each other like we weren't sure what she was talking about, and then she reminded us about Ronald DeFeo having killed his whole family. It had been in the newspapers about a year before.
After taking time to think about it and discussing with her children, George and Kathy Lutz decided to purchase the home at the price of $80,000, which even for its time was a fucking steal.
A 3-story house for $80,000?
A 3-story Dutch colonial home on the Amityville riverside with a garden house and a private boathouse.
And 6 murders.
Oh, and 6. Yeah, who fucking cares? I'll live in it for $80,000.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'd go fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for that shit.
Well, good news.
You will.
Do I have the house for you?
The family was set to move in on December 18th, 1975. That day, at the suggestion of a friend, George Lutz had a priest come bless the house. And right from the beginning, the activity began. As the priest was going about blessing the home, he came into an upstairs bedroom that the Lutz were planning on using as a sewing room. While in the room, the priest became overwhelmed with feelings of dread. He then heard a voice that told him to get out, before being slapped in the head by an unseen force.
Ow.
I like that the ghost is like, get out. And it just...
I think it was more flamboyant, like, get out.
Ow.
Ow.
Ow. Somebody hit my head.
Mr. Lutz, I have to tell you, I think your house is haunted, and the ghost is kind of a bitch. So, honestly, that sewing room... I mean, honestly, what the fuck?
That was fucked up.
Shitty ghost behavior.
The priest looked around but found no one in the home. As he was leaving, he ran into George outside. George tried to pay the father for the service because
I imagine the priest just punching him in the face, be like, "You fucking slap me, you piece of shit! You fucking sneak up in a room and slap me! I come here, I bless your house, fuck you!" Okay.
The father denied him and told him that no one should sleep in that room and left. When the Lutz family moved into the home, some of the furniture from the DeFeo family was still in the home, such as Ronald and Louise's bed, which is reportedly the same bed that George and Kathy slept on. I looked into it. It was.
Gross.
Yeah. Oh, because I guess they didn't have some of the furniture, and so they just kept some of it.
It's not even about the murder. If there was a mattress left in any place I moved in, no, out, absolutely out. Gross.
It was the 70s.
Even grosser. They got pubes. They got thick pubes. You know what I mean? It's more hair, just getting everywhere. Yeah. It's icky. It's icky and it's ewy. Don't sleep on other people's on stranger mattresses, especially if it's a murderer's mattress.
The couple moved into the home with 3 children from Kathy's previous marriage. Daniel, age 9, Christopher, age 7, and Melissa, age 5. Almost immediately, strange phenomena began to occur within the home, and the change in demeanor that would befall George and Kathy made itself known. The Warrens later referred to this as personality disintegration. George slowly went from being a reportedly rock-solid, hard-working man to a real slog, given to volcanic shifts of temper.
He was rock hard all the time.
Have you ever seen a picture of this man, Mason?
I have not seen a picture of him.
Look him up real quick.
Yeah,
he has the most peculiar look to him. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's because he wore his pants so high up, or his torso seems to be shorter than the rest of his body.
He's got a giant fucking head.
That's what it is. Yeah.
He's got a giant fucking head and wears his pants way too high.
He does wear his pants so fucking high. Which I'm like, it's the 70s, so it doesn't make sense. Why are you wearing your pants so high?
I fucking adore the fact that they got Ryan Reynolds to play this fucking guy.
They got James Brolin beforehand to play him, with James Brolin is way too handsome to play this guy. Kathy, normally an easygoing, pleasant person, found herself turning angry for no real reason she could see. George found himself always cold within the home. Despite all that he would do, he could never seem to warm up. George began to find himself waking up every night at exactly 3:15 a.m., unable to fall asleep afterwards. One night, while George was outside the home, he saw 5-year-old Missy standing at her window with the outline of a pig's face with red eyes behind her. When he ran to her room to investigate, he found that Missy was sound asleep. Soon after, Missy began to tell the family she had made a new friend named Jody, who would sometimes appear to her as a pig.
Well, that's just bullying.
Jay Anson presented a lot of the instances that the family experienced as full fact, tangible things, but the Warrens would later go on to describe these events as hallucinations brought on by the demonic forces.
They were both wrong.
One of these hallucinations occurred one night when George looked down at his wife and found that she had transformed into a 90-year-old woman. According to Kathy, this would happen more than once, and she would take on a different personality during these instances, which were reportedly witnessed by Kathy's mother. Another one of these hallucinations occurred to George when he came downstairs and found the front door had seemingly been ripped off its hinges. In the book, Anson states that the police were called, but the door was seemingly fine. Other strange occurrences included a room being full of flies in the middle of winter, strange cloven hoofprints being found in the snow outside the home, and green slime oozing down the walls.
And the walls ooze green slime.
Oh, no, wait.
Oh, wait. They always do that.
I guess that's a reference to this. George discovered a room underneath the basement stairs that would come to be known as the Red Room. It was a room barely big enough to hold 2 people that was painted completely red and gave off a strange odor. It smells like fart in here, George said. Hey, go in that room. Doesn't it stink? After he just ripped it.
Uh-oh. Must be a ghost.
The ghosts. They're stinky.
I don't like the way you've changed. You used to be so nice.
Pull my finger. Pull my finger. See what happens.
Hey, you look fucking old again today.
God, woman, you look 90.
Daddy's going to work.
When George tried to take the dog down, he said, quote,
he just wouldn't go in. He backed away. It's the only time I recall him ever cowering from something. I just love 70s science of being like, this room gives me the creeps. Let's shove the dog in here and see what happens.
That's what I do. Anytime I hear a noise, I'm like, Zuko, you go first. Go investigate.
I keep a bag full of kittens and I fucking hurl them into haunted rooms just to see if the cat raises its haunches and runs out. I know it's haunted. Every room I throw a cat into is haunted.
The strangest event was perhaps the night when George was awoken by the sound of a marching band playing downstairs. When he went to investigate, he found nothing, but curiously enough, the carpet had been rolled up and furniture had been pushed aside as if someone had made space for dancing. Now,
well, that's obviously bullshit because nobody dances to marching band music. That's not dance music.
Well, if they're playing like the jazz hits, you know.
Well, that's a jazz band, not a marching band.
Yeah, sometimes marching bands will play that.
Marching band is very specifically like do 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 do.
Yeah, but sometimes they'll play a Star Wars theme.
Did you dance to the Star Wars theme?
If it's the Mos Eisley Cantina and it's like... Well,
that's not... You're fucking killing me today with this, Jose. Admit... We're not moving on until you admit that you don't dance to marching band music. Again,
it depends on what they're playing. I'm genuinely serious about it.
You fucking nerd. You've danced to marching band music, haven't you?
You know, they're going...
You're such a fuck... That's the lamest.
You know? It seems that a lot of the haunting was strange, small, little events like this. And I didn't go into all of them because if you want to know the specifics of them, then go read Jay Anson's book. It's about 240 pages of it. I didn't feel like I needed to tell every single one. Those events kind of give you the gist of the haunting. There's more instances like toilet bowls becoming pitch black and experiencing the feelings of being touched by disembodied limbs.
I did go to a public bathroom one time that the whole toilet was black, like on the inside. It's unsettling because you can't tell if there's water in there or not. It's weird. It's not like scary. It's just more like, oh fuck, if I flush, is this gonna be wet? Is this working? You can't see.
Right.
It's weird.
Wow. I never thought about that.
It's weird.
The most eventful night was the last night that the Lutz family spent in the home, January 14th, 1976. George reports that he was lying in bed when Kathy suddenly lifted off the bed and began to slide away from him. George tried to get up, but felt as if something had crawled...
Did she slide to the left?
Yeah.
Did she slide to the right?
Yep.
Take it back now, y'all.
She did.
Do 1 hop this time?
Yep.
2 hops this time?
Yep.
Right foot, did she stomp?
No.
Oh. Left foot, did she stomp?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Crisscross! Everybody clap your hands.
Anyway, let's get back to the serious
It was that ghost
shit.
marching band again.
So George tried
let's get back to the serious ghosts.
George tried to get up, but felt as if something had crawled in bed with them, and he could not move. He could hear the children's beds being slammed up and down and being dragged, with the children screaming for help. The lights in the home continuously flickered, and finally, when all that stopped and Kathy floated down into the bed again, George went and got the dog to stay right by the bedroom. I like that this guy's reaction to everything.
Fucking dogs that it goes.
He's like, get this. I gotta get the dog. Have him go through this shit. He went.
Hey man, dogs are normally for like cats. They're not gonna do a whole lot of ghosts, I don't think.
No, this one will. So he went and got the dog to stay right by the bedroom. And all night, their poor dog was anxiously running in circles and throwing up. The next morning, they had enough.
Christ.
And after 28 days of living at 112 Ocean Avenue, the Lutz family moved out with only 3 changes of clothes each, leaving all their belongings behind. A month later, the Lutzes held a press conference in the office of William Weber, the same attorney who had represented Ronald DeFeo Jr. There, they told a group of reporters what had transpired at the home. George stated that he did this because he wanted to set the record straight, as lots of rumors had floated in the months since the couple had abandoned their home. Now, this is where you cue the AC/DC, because here comes the thunder. Thunder. Thunder.
I was caught.
Enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they're pulling up. It's just a shot of Ed's feet, like his fucking dress shoes, pointy ass, like snakeskin dress shoes, and it's a slow pan up to his gut, and his neck rolls, and his fucking
a bolo
big
tie
open,
that was making, he was bullfrogging out of.
Flicking a cigarette, just popping his collar.
Lorraine's got her pussy out. There's never been. Listen, they made ghost hunting sexy. They were the Lux Interior and Poison Ivy.
I watched
of the demon hunting world. Okay, they were a sexy power couple.
I watched a lot of their lectures for research for this.
Yeah.
Lorraine Warren could get it.
You know they fucked, right? Both of them fucked.
Oh yeah. Other people?
The one thing
or each other?
I don't know. Maybe each other, definitely. Maybe other people consensually. Sure, they may have been poly. I don't know.
There's some suggestions that maybe Ed had a live-in lover, and that Lorraine was cool with.
The thing that the Conjuring movies never got right was that Ed Warren only wore leather pants. He was a huge David Bowie fan, and he always dressed like he was like a backup at like a Ziggy Stardust concert.
I love that Ed Warren, wherever he may be, heaven or hell, or somewhere in between,
or just not existent anymore. Yeah.
He is happy because he got Patrick Wilson to play him. That's a fucking stellar deal, man.
That's a fucking get, man.
Like, from being Ed Warren to getting played by a hunk Patrick Wilson. Jeez.
Ocean Master. Yeah. You get the same guy as Ocean Master. Get fucked.
Fuck. Marvin Scott of Channel 5 News team was actually the one who called the Warrens in. The network was putting together what has been referred to as a supernatural slumber party. A who's who of...
Bring.
Hello?
Bring.
Hello? This is Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Marvin Scott, Channel 5 News. I'm looking to make a media circus out of a bullshit story, and I thought you'd be just the people to call.
They were putting together a who's who of parapsychologists, psychics, and paranormal investigators. Scott had previously worked...
Zim-zam men.
Scott had previously worked with the Warrens in Bloomfield, New Jersey, and thus he gave them a call. The Warrens told Marvin Scott they would not enter the home without the permission of the Lutz family. Scott then set up a meeting between the Warrens and George Lutz. He met with them at a pizza parlor because, this is George Lutz, because he was so frightened of returning to the home. Both Warrens attest to the man they met.
Can you just imagine they're like, we haven't slept in months, and it got really bad, and... Oh, we've got a birthday party. Everybody gather around and sing the happy birthday song.
That's exactly how it went down. Yeah. That was actually, that was a tape of their meeting.
It was so haunted. Who had the big and yummy in my tummy cheese pizza?
That was me right here.
Hey, are you that ghost guy?
Yeah, that's me. I'm Ed Warren.
Cool.
That's it.
Hey, has anyone ever told you sound like the guy who does the voice for Kronk in Emperor's New Groove?
Yeah. I've heard that before.
You gotta stop doing that voice. It makes me need to yawn.
So both Warrens attested that the man they met was a no-nonsense kind of guy who was skeptical of the existence of a god. After their, I like that he just casually was like, "I don't fucking believe in God," and they were like, "Oh my."
I think he was more like the dad from Gravity Falls. You know what I mean? Where he was like, Dad was a hard man and not easily impressed. And he like puts the paper down and he's just like, I'm not impressed.
Yep. Yeah. After their meeting with George, it seems the Warrens visited with the family at Kathy's mother's house in California. This is where the Warrens claim to have realized that the entity they were dealing with was demonic in nature, as they claimed the entity had followed the Lutz to Kathy's mother's home, where George and Kathy both levitated before Ed and Lorraine. They also talked to the children.
Do it again. Yay. Do you think they did the thing where they walked behind a sheet and then just picked up their empty shoes? And Ed and Lorraine were like, oh my god, it's so good. It's such a good levitation. Ghosts, demons, it's a demon.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what they did.
Woo. Ooh. For those of you at home, I just did that thumb trick where you put my thumb up to it, made it look like I was removing it.
I feel like you were so much more tame for the Devil Made Me Do It episode on your on your opinion of the Warrens. This time around, you're not, and I love it. I'm here for it.
Hey, I don't need to be held to anything. Just because there's a taped record of my opinions doesn't mean I have to be consistent with them. Tonight I say fuck the Warrens, and next time we do one, I'll say maybe they had a good point.
I
will be honest. The Channel 5 guy, that was a bit that wasn't necessarily me voicing my own opinions.
No.
If I'm doing it in a bit, you can't hold me to it. It's someone else. Hey, listen. In the wise words of that dog, it wasn't me.
They also talked to the children, who reiterated what the parents had told them. Missy even told them of her friend Jody. After this, the Warrens agreed to take part in the investigation. Lorraine entered the home with a relic that had belonged to the famous priest Padre Pio, having had it blessed by many members of the clergy. The only person taking photographs that night was Gene Campbell, a photographer working with the Warrens. When they entered the home, the couple split up. I should mention he was taking photographs with black and white infrared film as well. Just worth mentioning.
And that's how you get pictures of ghosts.
Yeah, I guess. When they entered the home, the couple split up. Ed went into the basement while Lorraine investigated the upper levels. And again, they're not alone. There's a bunch of other people here as well.
But they're doing classic Scooby-Doo rules.
Yeah, so like Ed went down with some of the camera crew, and then Lorraine and some of the other parapsychologists and psychics, they were like in the rest of the house.
All right, nerds on the upstairs, cool kids on the downstairs.
And it's just Ed by himself, because everybody else there's a nerd. And he's like,
fuck yeah, Ed, you did it again, as he's just drinking whiskey out of a tiny flask. I don't give a shit. This is amazing.
When Ed entered the basement...
All right, time to fuck it up a little bit. And he's like, fucks up his hair, like loosens his tie, and he's like, brusts through, and he's like, oh, fucking there's a ghost downstairs. You gotta come quick.
When Ed entered the basement, he used religious provocation, demanding that whatever entity was within the home reveal itself. At this point, he felt a force begin to push down on him. Hundreds of pinpoints of electricity hit his body, and he couldn't breathe. He couldn't move. He commanded in the name of Jesus.
He just had a stroke.
Well, with this guy, maybe. He didn't seem like the healthiest guy around.
Well, he did actually have a stroke for the Devil Made Me Do It case, didn't he?
No. Remember, you asked the same thing when we did the case.
If I remembered, Jose, I wouldn't have done it a second time.
You're right. That's on me.
That was completely fake. He didn't have any
he didn't have a
problems?
heart attack. Yeah, no.
Bullshit.
I think he maybe died of a stroke. I can't remember. Anyway. Oh. He commanded in the name of Jesus once more, and the entity seemed to lift off him. Ed said that after the encounter, he did not want to return to the home again. And to his credit, he never did. Lorraine ascended...
Didn't like that. Let's leave.
Fuck that. That was not fun.
Hey, Lorraine, I'm a little worried that this may be a real ghost.
He's like actually getting flung around, and he's like, he like gets up and he kind of fixes his little vest, and he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. No, thank you.
I didn't like this.
Just like quick running up the stairs, and he's like, Lorraine, I'll be outside.
I forgot something in the car, honey. I'll be out there. Honey, I'm gonna be honest with you. I pissed myself in that house.
Lorraine.
And I don't want to go back. I was very scared.
That was fucking spooky. As Lorraine ascended the stairs, she felt the same force pushing against her that Ed had felt in the basement. When they investigated the Red Room, they claimed that because of the energy felt there, that was where they felt that Butch had hid his occult items. One of the pictures, because sort of while they were all there, they all kind of came up with, I think one of the women who was there was a psychic who could, what did they call her? A time seer or something like that, that she can, it's that
she's a time psychic, huh?
You know how like in the Conjuring movies, that's how Lorraine Warren sees things, is like she'll kind of see the events as they're happening. Like the real Lorraine never said that she saw things like that, but then
she wasn't a time psychic.
Yeah, I don't remember the specific name, but this woman could claim to have been able to see things.
This was a time psychic.
Time psychic. Hmm. And
what kind of psychic was Lorraine then?
Just like a
not a time
not
one.
A time psychic.
What kind? Could she read people's
Space
minds?
psychic.
Could she tell when people were lying?
Space psychic.
Could she lift things up with her mind?
She was 11 from Stranger Things.
Was she like Professor? Was she like Professor X?
No, she was like 11 from Stranger Things.
Aren't they kind of the same?
Yeah, but she got a nosebleed. Professor X.
Even have the same haircut.
Yeah.
The time psychic had.
So
just
anyway,
decided
so they kind of, while they were there, the psychics, they all kind of came up with these ideas or these theories, explanations.
Make them up. Things they had no basis
and one of them
in,
was that
like this happened.
Yeah, one of them was that they believed that Butch had been a user of the occult. I can't remember, because in the movies they show him with like witchcraft books and stuff like that. I can't remember if he actually was, because I know that he was getting into a bunch of stuff around this time. Butch was like, he was a gun nut. He'd been doing like hardcore drugs. I wouldn't put it past him that he had started to dabble in the occult or even just read witchcraft.
He was more. It sounds like we need to be worried about Nazi things in his.
Oh yeah, almost certainly, yeah,
occult stuff.
But I can't remember if he actually was or not into the occult. Anyway, but this is where they thought that they were hiding, where he was hiding these things.
From a skeptical standpoint, do you think that I'm guessing these people probably didn't actually sit there and be like, how are we going to lie about this? But they were doing that thing where they were like, oh, this is where he kept the witch stuff. Look, and they're like, the witch stuff, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yes, if I'm entertaining the skeptical side of me says that yes, that's what they were doing. That they were like,
they were just yes-anding each other into a whole story.
He hid his stuff here, and then the other one was like, yeah, I felt that too. I felt that shit too. Yeah,
I feel that too. Yeah, same.
That's the skeptical side.
You know what I'd like to feel later.
And then they just have an orgy, all of them.
Psych. Hey, you know what?
But with their minds, they don't actually have
us.
sex. They're just
I
fucking in their
us
minds.
Coming tonight. Do you get it?
I'm fucking you so hard with my mind right now.
Okay. All right. It's getting weird.
So one of the pictures captured by the Warrens photographer seems to show a profile of Padre Pio's face, the man whose relic Lorraine was carrying. I couldn't find that one. I saw it in their lecture that they did on it, but I couldn't find it again online to include it for you. Yeah. They also captured a more infamous picture of a young boy peeking around the corner of a doorframe. Many believed the boy was one of the DeFeo children, but Ed was adamant that it was no spirit of a child, but rather a diabolical entity disguising itself as such. And this is the picture.
You can tell. You can tell that's one of those kids because it's leaving a trail of shit behind him.
Just like their brother said. And this is a very famous picture. This is like this whole sequence is at the beginning of the second Conjuring movie, the whole Amityville sequence. And this is a very famous picture. I tried to look into it. I don't know if it's been debunked that as far as I know, it's a legitimate picture where it wasn't altered. The question of the validity then comes as to whether or not it was staged. Although everyone there claims that it was not.
Certainly looks like a child.
Yeah, he's got
in that picture.
White. His eyes are completely white.
Well, I
Just
mean,
like the
his
head.
eyes are completely white, but it looks more like it's just doing the thing old shitty cameras do, where they
Yeah.
make the eyes super
Yeah.
reflective. It's not. It doesn't look. They're not like all white out like he's glowing or anything.
No.
It just kind of looks like a shitty picture of a kid hiding behind. Nothing looks supernatural about it. Like if you didn't tell me it was from a ghost thing, I would just think it's a regular picture of a kid.
Still spooky. Don't like it.
It is still spooky. I don't like the way that kid looks at me. I'm gonna actually scroll away from it now.
I
didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Didn't like
Now I got to deal with that in my head all night long. I got to think about, I hope the spooky little shitty DeFeo kid doesn't fucking get shit all down the back of my toilet seat.
Oh boy, I missed this. One of the cameramen from the news network suffered heart palpitations while investigating the home. The Warrens left the home.
He's just back in the 70s where he's like slamming a hamburger with like 2
Yeah.
cigarettes between each finger, just being like,
Oh fuck! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh
my
god!
heart hurts.
And Lorraine's like, it's a ghost. The Warrens left the home with a definitive belief that the house was infested by a demonic entity and gave the
I'll
recommendation.
tell you one thing. That house is scary as shit, and I don't want to go back.
His pants are pissed. And he's like, wow, that was spooky.
I've seen a haunted house.
Raise your
or two,
hand
and
if
I'll
you were
be honest,
expecting this house to actually be haunted. I sure as fuck wasn't. Wow.
I think a ghost peed my pants.
Yeah, you saw that. He's like pointing to the camera. Guy's like, you remember, you were there when the ghost pissed my pants,
no,
right?
I didn't. I definitely looked like you did, Ed.
The demon wants you to think that. The demon wants you to think that.
I think actually I can play it back on the camera here. Look, it's you just saying, please, please, no, please, no. Oh, I'm peeing so much. Oh, no, it's everywhere.
That
Oh,
was
it's
the
in my
demon had
shoes.
entered my body and pissed my pants.
All right, it's a piss demon. Is that what you want to hear? It's a piss demon. You fine. It's a piss demon. It's a fucking big old piss demon.
Yeah. And I believe he was we've encountered demons like this before. So there's a piss demon, you get your shit demon, you got your throw up demon, you get your
Classic.
pizza demon, you got your your code demon that haunts the video games. We've encountered them all.
I'm sorry. It is 1976. What's a video game?
It's like Pong, you know Pong.
Is Pong exist? Actually, Pong exists.
Yeah. You know
Oh,
Pong,
okay.
you fuck. Come on.
I know Pong.
The Ben drowned version of Pong is just that your paddle moves by itself. I don't know, because I mean the other paddles
Whoa.
aren't moving. It's just the
I put
ball
it down
makes the
expecting
little.
it to... I came back and the computer hadn't even scored a point against me.
Anyway, the Warrens left the home with a definitive belief that the house was infested by a demonic entity and gave the recommendation to the Lutz family that they have an exorcism performed on the house, which the Lutz never did. So to Ed and Lorraine's credit, they were like, hey, house is infested by demons. You got to get this shit sorted out. They weren't like, hey, we can do it for a price. They were like, no, like get the church, get them to help you. Like this is bad. And then the Lutz were just like, gee. Okay, we'll sure do that. And then they never did. But it didn't end there for Ed and Lorraine, as something from the home seems to have followed them. While Ed was in his office going over the material from the investigation, he claims a large shadow appeared in the doorframe to his office and lunged at him, trying to attack him. He was able to make it leave after reaching for some holy water and commanding it out.
Do you think the Warrens' house is just filled with like it's like Blade, but for like nerds? Of it's just filled with like ghost and demon hunting things just fucking everywhere?
Oh yeah, I mean they have that. So I didn't know this, but apparently his office was at the end of the museum. So it's like you had to get through all the fucking spooky demonic shit that he's collected, and then that was where his
Interesting.
office was.
Feels like you should just switch those rooms.
That's what I'm thinking too.
You know what I mean?
Kind of
So
asking
the
for
office
it.
is here, and
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, I'm sure he like pounds a wall or something, and then it like flips, and it's like holy water squirt gun, like crucifix, throwing crucifixes. Yeah.
Throwing crucifixes. If I were them, when you and I start our demon hunting business, our ghost
Yeah.
hunting business, We are gonna buy a church and use that as we're gonna live in a big old church.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Because like, why wouldn't you? The museum where we keep all our things, it's gonna be like the Batcave where it's like all the big pieces of shit are gonna be in like the big regular altar room. You know what I mean? Where all the people sit and shit like that, and it'll be like up in the balcony. We'll have like all our little bat computers and shit.
We'll have poles to slide down.
And we'll both be Robin, so neither of us have to be have that complex. We're gonna both. We gotta
I'm
do that
okay
to
with
each
it.
other.
I always was Robin. When I played games, I was
Honestly,
like, I want to be Robin.
I was always a Robin too, but that's because I was a younger brother, so I never had much of a choice. I could either embrace being the second character, or be mad my whole life.
Yeah, I was just the younger cousin, so I was the oldest in my family. But even when I played with my brother, I was like, and I get to be Robin. Maybe that's a whole. Maybe that's something I talked. And you two said you're ghost
hunters again? I'm sorry, did we go on the Robin rant again? Because we do have a problem where we keep going on the Robin rant, and then people don't want to hire us anymore.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to hire you anymore.
Aw.
Not again.
Damn it. Lorraine would say that out of all the cases they took on, none of them affected them more than the Amityville Horror. Now that the narrative has been run through.
From that time on, she spoke only in rhymes.
Now that the narrative has been run through, let's take a look at some of the extra details that I thought were worth mentioning, but sort of didn't fit into this narrative structure. So that's the story of the Amityville Horror involving the DeFeos, the Lutzes, and the Warrens. Now here's some extra little chunks. Fun facts. Ed Warren actually addressed one of the biggest criticisms of the case, that people who visited later never encountered anything, or people who visited would say, I was there at the house at this time and I never saw anything. And he said,
it's not that a house is haunted 24 hours a day. You don't walk into a haunted house and see ghosts floating all over the place.
He claimed that activity begins during the psychic hours, which are 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Because is the
psychic hours?
Yeah. Because this is the time that they can draw strength. He also explained that when a person gets frightened, they give off psychic energy that evil entities use to fuel themselves to produce more phenomena. Now, I've heard this before, and whether or not you believe, I think this is a really
pretty convenient.
Yeah, I was going to say interesting, convenient. Yeah, I guess convenient.
Also,
I guess convenient. To me, it seemed like it makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes fucking sense. It's a no-brainer. The people who are afraid are actively seeing things in the shadows. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry.
Obviously, the person who goes in being afraid of the ghost is going to find more confirmation of the ghost than the person who's not afraid of the ghost when they go in.
I guess for me as a believer, it makes sense that evil, because, in most cases, it's evil entities that try to scare people, whereas ghosts don't. They're just trying to communicate. Or ghosts or spirits. So for me, it makes sense that entities like demonic in nature have to try to scare people because that fuels them. And that's the believer side of me saying that. But I understand that, yes, it does seem like a very convenient explanation. As this case
That's why all the people who already believe in ghosts see ghosts when they go there, and all the skeptics don't. Okay.
As the case was disputed more and more, more and more irregularities or inconsistencies came forward. George and Kathy Lutz took 3 polygraph tests, which they passed, as well as voice stress tests that they also passed. Of course, as we now know, polygraph tests are iffy at the most.
Mostly bullshit.
Yeah, it's all about maintaining heart levels and heartbeat levels, whatever, and stress. And you can figure out how to beat them, I guess, Ed Warren was always cautious of Jay Anson's book because he believed that things may have been dramatized beyond reality. However, both Warrens said they believed George and Kathy Lutz. Ed Warren made the claim that the horror actually began 6 months before the killing of the DeFeo family, when Mr. DeFeo traveled to Canada and brought a priest down to bless the home, reportedly during this time. Butch angrily left the house. The Warrens claimed that the religious statues found around the home were commissioned by Mr. DeFeo after his visit to Montreal, despite not being a pious man. Lorraine claims that when neighbors asked about the statues, Mr. DeFeo told them it was because he had a devil on his back, which is I think it's a cool thing to say. I got a devil on my
The
back.
Red Hot Chili Peppers in one of their songs said that I've got a devil in my dick and some demons in my semen. So it's kind of the same thing. Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah.
Anthony Kiedis agrees with DeFeo.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Sir Psycho Sexy. That was the song. It was Sir Psycho Sexy.
I couldn't find anything of that claim about the statues. There certainly were those statues around the home. One of the things that Ronald DeFeo Sr. also did was he was the one that had the sign that said High Hopes made and installed in front of the house because it was like the family's high hope or something like that.
It kind of sounds like DeFeo was just one of those like weird kind of mafia, like Tony Soprano type father figures where
and
they're we're living by a certain code of rules despite being a piece of shit.
And we'll get into a little bit of Mr. DeFeo here in a second. There were also a lot of strange incidents that occurred surrounding the publication of the book written by Jay Anson. Jay Anson himself suffered a heart attack after writing the book, but he said, quote,
"Blame it on my idiot lifestyle. I'm not going to blame it on this."
However, 3 people that had been given the manuscript each had brushes with death, with one being fatal. One had a fire break out in his car as he headed to the publisher with a manuscript. A second friend and his son nearly drowned in their car while the manuscript sat in their trunk, and when the trunk was opened, the only dry thing within it was the manuscript, despite it was only in a clasped envelope. The third friend, whom Anson had given the first 2 chapters to read, died in a fire the very first night she received them. In the remains of the fire, the manuscript was found in perfect condition. So, as far as the DeFeo demon claim, it's one that's very, the whole that, he was possessed, and that's what led him to do it.
Yeah, that Butch was possessed.
The Butch was possessed. It's what we see presented as fact in the movies. Ronald DeFeo Jr. is notoriously just a bad narrator. You know what I mean? Is the what is the term in literature? The
unreliable
narrator. That's Ronald DeFeo Jr.
He also, if you look at his behavior in once he was jailed, it's very similar to that of a lot of serial killers, of the way his whole story goes.
Thousands of different explanations to what happened, ranging from his mother killed his family, and then he killed his mother.
Yes.
His mother and his sister killed the family. His sister and some friends and him killed the family.
His
the mafia hitman.
Post being caught, Ronnie DeFeo has a insanely similar to the Son of Sam killer, where basically, and this isn't even really to sound so mean, but basically Christianity gave them a scapegoat to say, no, look, it wasn't your fault. You can pretend it wasn't your fault. I know you said it was already, but look, you have a chance to say it wasn't now. And then they were like, good point, it wasn't my fault.
And he actually passed away this year. Ronald DeFeo Jr. did.
Oh. All right.
Good fucking riddance.
Yeah, absolutely. What a shitbag.
He consistently changed his story while he was in prison. So that, take it with a grain of salt, the whole demon claim. And then, of course,
he was just a 1970s version of a neckbeard, wasn't he? He was just a fucking
yeah,
incel,
pretty much.
Wasn't he?
No, he had a girlfriend, which, doesn't...
Well...
But the thing is, everyone who knew him said that at the time he'd started to go off the deep end. He'd been having... lots of issues with drug abuse. He himself said later that he was drinking like a glass of scotch, like 5 glasses of scotch a day or something like that with every time he did drugs. He also, there was
and you can only do that if you're a rock star.
Yeah. Duh, Ronnie.
If you're not a rock star, you can't do drugs like that.
Also, we have to mention, the DeFeo family was not a happy family. DeFeo Sr. was very abusive and a horrible man by all accounts. So, the tension for why Ronnie DeFeo may have wanted to kill his family is there. Again, also, mental illness could have been a factor. Now, he was only diagnosed with antisocial behavior, but the influence of drugs, especially psychedelics like LSD and heavy shit like heroin, it's a whole thing. William Weber was Ronnie DeFeo's lawyer. kind of a scumbag. I don't know if he's alive, if he is, whatever. Kind of a scumbag. It seems that by all accounts, he was the one that tried to push the demon, the voices approach.
Narrative.
And then he was the one that reached out to the Lutzes and tried to profit from whatever it was that they may have experienced. He later came out, after Jay Anson's book came out, he came out and said, we made all of that up. Me and the Lutzes, we got drunk one night and we made all of it up. And everybody was like, see, it is a hoax. But then people discovered that Weber was in multiple legal battles with the Lutzes because they had gone with someone else to publish their story instead of Weber, because Weber wanted to share the profits with Ronald DeFeo Jr. and the Lutzes were not comfortable with that at all. So then his claim of, it was a hoax, may have just been trying to defame them and just him being mad. So that's, one of the things. Also, one of the biggest things that gets brought up with his family is they made it up. It was a hoax. Whether or not it was a hoax, we'll get into in a second, but they made it up because they were in debt. That was one thing that got repeated a lot. By all accounts, though, the family was doing fine financially. They were not in debt.
And this is the Lutzes, correct?
This is the Lutz family, yeah. They were not in debt. Their children have come forward and said that, one of them, we'll talk about in a second, Christopher, he later had changed his name back to his mother's maiden name, Quarantino, which feels like if you mixed Quentin Tarantino's name together, you'd get Quarantino. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
He was one that mentioned that, the family actually saved money moving to Amityville because George wasn't paying for mooring charges for his boats. He was running his business from home, so he wasn't paying rent for his office anymore. It's like the family was doing fine financially. But, of course...
I didn't know they actually had a boat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They had 2, I think.
Okay. I'm glad these people got haunted. 2 boats, fuck you.
So that's... Yeah. Anyway, one of the things that's interesting to me, and I kind of find myself siding more with Danny and Christopher. So Danny and Christopher were the 2 boys that Kathy had before she got with George. They say that they do remember events happening of shadowy figures and being thrown up, being moved, pushed around or whatever by spirits. But they said that things were dramatized way more by George. They said that they believed that the spirits had nothing to do with the DeFeos and had more to do with George, who was actually very interested in the occult. And so they believe, the 2 boys believe, that if anyone summoned anything to the home, it was George, because he'd been dabbling in the occult and maybe he was the one that was summoning bad spirits. They said that he was vain and he was domineering as a stepfather, that he was mean, that he was sometimes borderline abusive, that he would beat them with a wooden spoon as punishment. So the youngest child, she's never said anything publicly, but the boys believe that there was a haunting, but that their stepfather George cashed in on it and dramatized it even more and further to sort of be the showman. So they say that things happened to him, but that George blew them out of proportion, the things that occurred to them.
Well, that seems... I'm inclined to believe that. I would assume that's how it always is.
I believe that if anything did happen at this home, it was definitely blown out of proportion. One of the... Jay Anson, the guy who wrote the book, I have to give him credit. He never said one way or the other whether he believed it. They asked him multiple times, and he said, look, my book is my book. I believe these people believe what happened. Whether or not I believe it, I don't know. Because he said that one of the things that, and then I read an interview with James Brolin, who played George Lutz in the movie, and he said that when he met the children, he didn't believe in the case because the children, when you asked them about things, they responded like that. Like they didn't think about anything. And he was like, it felt like they had been programmed to say the things. So I think if anything happened at this home, things were blown out of proportion, and the family decided on the story that they were going to tell, and they sold that story. By all means, they didn't become millionaires from the story being published. No,
but this is before it was obvious that you never profit off of, you know what I mean?
Literature,
stories like this.
Yeah.
Well, no, just like off of of haunting or alien stories. You never profit off of it. It always ruins your life.
The Lutzes later divorced in the late 80s or early 80s. George and Kathy Lutz divorced, but they stayed friends and on good terms for the rest of their lives. They did interviews and stuff together all the time. They both passed away in the early 2000s, 2001 and 2006, I think, or 2004 and 2006. So, yeah, I don't know. It's certainly one of the most infamous hauntings. It's left its mark on American history, the paranormal history for sure. But in my belief, having read through this, I think it's more likely that things were made up than that something occurred. Because everyone that's lived in the home since has not reported anything.
That is interesting to me. You know what I mean? Because I would assume somebody would have. Now, again,
it is possible if I'm siding with Danny and Christopher. It is, in my belief, it is possible that if George was the one who summoned something, then the connection was to George. So when George left the house, whatever it may have been, may have followed him.
From a skeptical standpoint, it surprises me that no one's just like, I'll buy that house and continue making shit up about it. You know what I mean?
The next people who bought it afterwards
into
had it for like 10 years and they hated that people came to visit it. They even got rid of the iconic windows, the ones that look like eyes. They just have regular windows now, which are not as fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I never know what to feel when like true crime things are
mixed with the supernatural.
Well, no, just when they when they're gone, you know what I mean? Is it better to bulldoze it and pretend it never happened? Is it better to do like the Velisca thing and make it into like a true crime like I don't know. I mean, obviously I like the touristy true crime shit, but like it's not always great. It depends. It's a close thing of whether you're hurting anybody, while doing it. There's a lot of factors involved into
certainly
shit like that. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think it was just recently sold in 2016 to another for like $600,000, which surprised me. I would have thought it would have gone for more, but I guess just it comes with. It doesn't matter. You're buying the house with all the tourism, basically, so you have to deal with that.
Yeah,
it's like the Full House,
or the Pizza House in New Mexico from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, or
people kept throwing pizzas on that roof.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, they changed the house number. It's no longer 112 Ocean Ave. One of the owners had the city change it to deter tourists from finding it, but then people found the address anyways. So I won't say it.
Yeah, it's not really the address they were looking for. It was probably the house.
So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's not showing up at 112 anymore? Yeah, but that's definitely the house, though, right? Yeah. Okay. So
no, because this one's got different windows too.
Oh, okay.
So
never mind. Let's go home.
I mean, it's in the exact same spot, and
we
everything
drove
else is the
1,200
same.
miles for this. Let's go home.
Okay.
Anyway, that's it. Amityville, Mason.
Yay.
With that,
Amity, more like Amity.
Yeah.
I was just hoping Zuko would sniff louder and it would allow me to get out of that, but
he's going towards the microphone. Yeah, all right, that's enough.
Spooky.
Anyway, with that, it's time to wrap the show up. If you like the show, make sure to leave a 5-star review, which you can do in-app on Apple Podcast, Audible, or Podchaser. We'd really appreciate it if you leave us a review. Plus, it really helps the show, and we'll read your review on the show. You can help support the show by going to patreon.com/captainslogcast and donate $1. Anything helps keep the lights on. Another thing you could do to help the show and yourself is go over to Teepublic and shop our merch. You can get anything from t-shirts to mugs with our logo on it. Remember, if you donate/support our sponsors, it all goes towards improving the show, getting better recording equipment, etc. Mason, where can the fine listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mason Schrader. You can find me on Twitter at Mason Schrader. Mason, that's SHR, no C, Shout out to our one fan on Instagram that has started following my personal account despite me not posting anything. I won't say your name on the thing for your own privacy, but you are a true fan. She seems great.
Yeah, she does. Well, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at j.valle_junior and the show on Twitter and Instagram at Captain's Log Pod. We recommend various different materials on there, post show updates, post some occasionally funny things. We do merch giveaways. We just did one, so the winner is announced on there. So, yeah.
Yay!
You can also subscribe.
Go follow us and find out.
You can also subscribe on YouTube, where you can find me as Jose Valle Jr., Animal Productions, and of course, the show's official YouTube channel, Captain's Log. If you can't get enough of me, you can also listen to my other podcast with friend of the log, Max Benyon, called Max and Jose Have Something to Say. Make sure to tell your friends and family about the show if you enjoy it. If you'd like to share your opinion on this case, the film, or the films, or the Warrens in general, please do so by writing into captainslogcast@gmail.com. You can also suggest episode topics, guests you'd like to have back. Make sure to subscribe and download on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play, and any other podcast directory. Thanks to Carlos Rivera for composing our new show's theme, which is great. With that, everybody, we have reached the end of our show. We will see you soon for another special episode. I've been your Captain, Jose Valle Jr., joined by...
First Officer Mason before and after picture Schrader.
And this has been Captain's Log. End of transmission.
Beep, boop, beep, blorp.